What's going on, Vapor fans? Today we're going to be reviewing the Vane tank from Kaees. You probably have heard of this company in the past. Kaees, they made the landmark tank and stuff, and at the time for the landmark tank, it didn't do too well because for many of my reviewer friends and other people that I know received it, it was just known as a very, very leaky tank with a lion printed on top of it. However, this time they've taken a second shot and come out with the Vane tank, and so far so good. I have been enjoying this thing. So let's dive down and talk about it. Alright guys, so before we begin tearing this thing apart, let's go over to the Kaees.com and take a look about this new Vane tank. So let's click over here for the Vane, and then click on this, and then see what it has to say. So what it's saying is that it's 2 mil capacity, and it comes in stainless steel or black. This I understand because of, European TPD compliance, so it can only go up to 2 mil capacity on this one. Okay, it says pure flavor, it says maximum cloud. We'll find out, but so far testing the airflow on this thing seems a little bit tight to be promising maximum clouds on this. Another thing that I thought was a little strange on this, it says that the Vane tank comes with 6 coils. Now, it's one thing to say that 6 coils are available. It's another thing to say that this thing comes with 6 coils, because my kit only came with the 2 coils. I got the 0.5 and the 1.2, which is both, I don't know, we'll see how it performs, but I think that these numbers are a little bit high for your average vapor these days. So, scrolling down over here, you can see that Vane is supposed to be printed like so, while mine says never, and the rest of the dimensions are over here are as shown. And if you want to find out more for yourself, I'll leave the link in the description below. Alright, so this is the Vane tank as I first received it, alright? And what I want to say is that you'll notice right away that the O-ring over here is kind of just floating around the middle of the packaging over here, okay? Kind of just moving around. And another thing is that, like, this thing being called the Vane tank, you'll see that my printing is off over here, and it says VA space never. Okay, should I let this bother me? Because I mean, it kind of does. Not to be like super nitpicky or anything like that, but it's just that it's about what it suggests right away when the packaging is all loose and janky and stuff, and then the printing is off. It just goes to show how much attention that they put into detail and what I should be expecting right off the bat. If I had to go ahead and bring its predecessor over, right, it would have been this one over here, which is also by Kaees, and it was called the Landmark tank. And the Landmark tank, I had the same issue with the coil floating around on the inside. Before we go ahead and put any juice into the coil, I just wanted you guys to see what the inside of one of these coils looks like. I'm going to spin this around in the camera. You can see that the coils over here are very uneven and imbalanced. Okay, and we will see how much this affects performance. Okay, of course I would prefer things to be a lot like the U-Wall crown coils, where everything is very nicely put together, but you never know. Let's see what happens when we actually vape on this. I'm going to take this thing apart, and then you get a couple of O-rings in here and your spare glass tank. And as I said before, I only got 2 coils in this thing. So the coil that's already installed in here, and then the backup coil on the side. So what's already pre-installed is a 0.5, and then what's over here is a 1.2. Now the 1.2 on this one, let me focus this in for you guys a little bit. And it specifically says over here that the 1.2 can do 20 to 50 watts. Okay, this is a reasonable amount of wattage, and I agree with that. But as far as the other one that's already pre-installed in the tank over here, let me open this up for you guys real quick and then show you what it promises inside. And if you could see over here, it says 0.5 ohm and then 25 to 75 watts. So we will put some juice in here and then fire this at 75 watts and we'll see what happens. Alright, so guys, for the sake of testing, I have my Vane or Neva tank loaded up with some juice over here. And I know this tank is going to get super, super hot. So for that reason, I've taken off the Delrin cap and then I've placed my own drip tip on it. This is a Popeye drip tip from way, way back in the days. I knew it would finally come in handy some way, somehow. And what I'm going to do on this thing is that I'm going to bring it up to 75 watts, which is what it's promised. And then we're going to do a dry hit test on this thing to see if it'll actually do the 75 watts as promised. Okay, so I'm going to be firing this thing on the Asmodus Minikin, and we'll have a quick review on that one as well. But so far, we're vaping it at 30 watts, and we're going to bring this little guy all the way up to 75 watts, which is exactly what it was promised. Okay, so because I'm not going to kill myself, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to exhale on this thing, and then you guys watch the vapor that's coming out of the airflow, right? The moment that the vapor starts to get light, then that means it's dry hitting. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. Looks pretty good, right? So far, so good. So let's take a hit right away. Not bad. Not bad. So for the Vane tank, it absolutely can hold up the 75 watts as it promises, which is very, very good for a lot of the sub tanks out there that promises high wattages but doesn't actually, deliver. So this is actually one of the tanks that will actually deliver. But the problem that I find on this little guy, right, is that without my ridiculously large trip tip, this thing is really, really hot to vape on. Okay, so Kaees, you got something going on over here, but the thing is way too hot. You gotta redo the design or something to like work on the temperature of this thing. Another thing that I've noticed was that as far as what it was promised on the website, saying that like max flavor and max clouds, let's be real honest, right? You really can't have both. Either you're gonna do max clouds or you're going to do max flavor. Okay, so this little Vane tank, pretty nice, pretty nice. I like the 510 connection very, very much. See how it's protruding over here? This is the beginning of safety, guys. Okay, it's very important that your 510 pin is always protruding out, right? Next, the airflow adjustment over here. Not too tight, not too loose. I dig that very much. Even when like there's a lot of juice in here, it doesn't get too slippery and too loose, so that like you would accidentally change the airflow settings on this. Okay, I do like the little snub nose drip tip over here. However, again, once this thing gets into the 70 watt range and stuff, I don't see anybody chaining on this thing. I would really keep this tank somewhere around 30 to 35 watts for the sake of the heat that it generates. Next thing that was pretty kick-ass about it is the spitback protection plate over here. Vapor comes in from the sides, slams back together, and then comes back up. I personally also think that when you do something like this, it also generates some flavor as well. Okay, so yeah, that's about it for the Vane tank. Let's come back up and I'll give you my final thoughts on it. So what do I think about this little guy? Well, despite how poorly built the coil was and the bad printing on it and the, O-ring floating around in the box and everything, it still performs pretty well, pretty decent, okay? You're going to get not the most clouds, but it does have reasonable, very, very reasonable vapor production for its size and its airflow. Okay, but the reason why I would not recommend this for purchase is because it doesn't carry an RBA section. The RBA section is very, very important for a lot of people, and for me, that really does make or break a device. Because as far as it being like, just a sub tank with replaceable coils and stuff, it's not really super special in any way, and there's way more tanks out there, with that you would buy with replaceable coils. That's far better than the Vane tank. So had the Vane tank came out with a vertical RBA shroud to put inside, maybe even multiple pieces or something, so that like you could build a couple of them on the go, then yeah, I actually would recommend this little guy. And then we'll also take a look at his price point. But for the moment, at the time of this video, I have not seen this for retail sale anywhere, so I can't even tell you how much this thing actually is. Sad, sorry guys. But for its build quality and its size and its material or whatever, personally I really don't see this thing worth any more than 25 bucks. And if it's priced somewhere around like 22.50 or whatever, and then it's an emergency quick grab or whatever, then I guess it's a decent pickup. But to really lose this thing and go out of your way to get another one, nah, sorry, I really can't recommend it that way. So that's it for my review of the Vane tank. As always guys, question everything, do your homework, and vape clever. Take care y'all.